I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that you are 17 years old. You're, in the absolute prime of your physical life, strong, fast, practically vibrating with energy.
Mm-hmm.
And you have one singular burning ambition. You don't want to be a streamer. You don't want to be a CEO. You want to be a soldier.
It's the classic hero's journey setup, isn't it? The protagonist standing on the threshold of their destiny, just waiting for that door to open.
Exactly. Now, imagine that door isn't just locked. It is slammed in your face with hydraulic force.
Yeah.
And not because you failed.
Right.
Not because you weren't fast enough on the run or strong enough on the pull-ups, but because of your DNA. Because of a grandfather you have never even met.
That is a terrifying concept to kick things off with. The idea of inherited guilt. I mean, usually when we talk about inheritance, we're talking about assets.
A watch, a house, something like that.
Yeah, you inherit a house, a watch, maybe some debts if you're unlucky. But inheriting a black mark from the state, inheriting treason, that is a burden that crushes you before you even take your first step.
That is the nightmare scenario we are unpacking today. The protagonist, a teenager named Danny Watts, inherits a legacy of betrayal. He finds out that his grandfather, Fergus Watts, isn't just a missing person. He is a branded traitor to the British SS.
And that revelation is the explosive start of Boy Soldier by Andy McNab and Robert Rigby.
And before we go any further, we have to pause on that author name, Andy McNab.
We really do. This isn't just a branding exercise.
Right. This isn't some thriller writer sitting in a coffee shop, guessing what the SS does based on movies.
No. McNab is former SS. He was the patrol commander of Bravo 20. So when he writes about tradecraft surveillance, evasion, the psychology of violence, he is pulling from a very real, very gritty well of lived experience.
It just brings this level of technical realism to the book.
It does. It transforms it from a simple young adult thriller into something that feels almost like a manual.
A manual on how to survive when the government itself turns against you.
Precisely. And that is what we are here to analyze today. We aren't just looking at the plot. We are looking at the tradecraft. We are tracking Danny's transformation from a rejected recruit into a fugitive who has to learn high-level spy skills on the run.
So we're going to break down the specific techniques mentioned in the book, the how-to of disappearing, and we're going to try and solve the mystery of Fergus Watts.
Was he a hero? Was he a traitor?
Or is the reality just much, much grayer?
It's a story about the collision between a messy, emotional teenage life and the brutal binary efficiency of covert operations.
So let's start at ground zero, the rejection. Danny's at the Regular Commissions Board, the RCB. This is the gateway to becoming an Army officer.
Right. It's this multi-day assessment center where they test your fitness, your leadership, your mental acuity, everything.
And it is so important to understand the social environment here. The RCB isn't just a fitness test. It is a social filter.
Absolutely. Danny is coming from a care home called Foxcroft. He is an orphan. He is surrounded by candidates who have been prepped for this their entire lives. Private schools, military families, the whole old boy network.
Danny is the outlier. The book mentions him drinking Diet Coke in the mess hall, while the others are drinking pints and talking about which regiment their father commanded.
He's already socially isolated.
But physically, he is crushing them. He's flying over the water jumps. He's scaling the walls. He is proving that merit should matter.
Which makes the rejection sting even more. He has done the work, he has proven his competence, but then he gets called into the final interview, and it is not the colonel waiting for him.
No, it's a civilian, a man named George Fincham. And the book gives us this great little detail. He's wearing a sharp suit with a custard yellow and red striped tie.
That detail feels so specific, doesn't it?
It is.
That tie represents the establishment. It represents the bureaucracy that sits above the soldier.
The gatekeeper.
Fincham is the gatekeeper. He's the guy who has never crawled through the mud but decides who gets to. And he starts the interview not by praising Danny's scores, but by mocking his background. He attacks his education, his upbringing.
It's a classic destabilization tactic. He is trying to get a rise out of him.
And it works. Danny is 17, he's passionate, and he pushes back. He gets angry. And that is when Fincham drops the hammer. He asks, "When did you last see your grandfather?"
Danny is just confused. He says, never. I've never met him.
And Fincham opens the weapon of the bureaucrat. Fincham reveals that Fergus Watts betrayed the SAS in Colombia. The accusation is that he sold out his unit for drug money from the FARC guerrillas, got his men massacred, and then escaped prison to vanish.
And this is the inciting incident. Fincham tells Danny he is a security risk by blood. He calls him a loose end.
A loose end.
And just like that, Danny's life plan, The only thing he cared about is incinerated.
It's devastating. Fincham is essentially saying, your blood is tainted. It's this archaic, almost medieval concept, but in the world of high-level security clearance, it's a showstopper.
Danny leaves that room and goes back to his hostel, Foxcroft, absolutely seething. He has one photo of his grandfather, a black and white shot of 3 soldiers. In a rage, he tears it up.
He destroys the only link he has.
Which is a very teenage reaction, pure emotion, explosive anger.
But his friend Elena saves him here.
We need to talk about Elena, because if Danny is the muscle, Elena is the brain.
Completely. Danny is kinetic, he acts. Elena is digital, she analyzes. She is the genius sidekick archetype, but she represents the modern battlefield. She tapes that photo back together.
And that act is so crucial.
It is, because without the physical evidence on that photo, the entire investigation stalls before it even starts.
Because Danny isn't going to just accept this. He decides he wants to find Fergus Watts. Not to hug him, not to have a tearful family reunion.
No, he wants to confront him, to blame him for ruining his life.
Anger is a much better motivator than sadness.
It really is. It pushes Danny into what I call the amateur tradecraft phase. This is part 2 of our breakdown, the investigation.
So let's dive into that. Danny has no formal training. He has instinct and aggression.
And Elena hits the internet. Her screen name is a star and confirms the public narrative. The headlines are all there. SAS hero turns traitor.
The internet gives you the what, but it rarely gives you the where. For that, you need human intelligence.
Right. Danny knows he needs to find someone who actually knew Fergus. So he tracks down his grandfather's old regiment connections to a place called the Victory Club.
Now, this scene at the Victory Club is a masterclass in social engineering.
Oh, absolutely. The Victory Club is a members-only spot for ex-military. Danny is a kid in a hoodie. He shouldn't be able to get within 50 feet of the bar.
But he does. He spots a sign in the lobby for an Army resettlement seminar. He walks up to security, confident, shoulders back, and says he's there for the seminar. He gives a fake name, Karazmuk.
Why does that work? He doesn't have an ID.
Because security guards are looking for hesitation. They're looking for guilt. Danny walks in with purpose. He exploits the clipboard mentality.
Right. If you look like you belong, if you act like you have a right to be there, 99% of people will just let you pass because they don't want the confrontation.
So he infiltrates the club. He finds the barman, Harry. And Harry is polishing glasses in a straight line. That military precision again.
Love that detail.
Harry doesn't know Fergus's current location, but he points Danny to a man named Big Kev Newman.
Big Kev. He was in the photo Danny has, the tall guy on the right.
Exactly. Now, this interaction is fascinating. Danny talks to Kev, drops Fergus's name, and Kev freezes.
It's a tell, a classic tell.
Kev steps away to make a phone call, and Danny just knows.
This is situational awareness. Danny realizes Kev is calling Fergus to warn him. Now, a normal person might wait to see what happens. Danny acts.
He creates a distraction at the bar, spills a drink or something, and while Kev is distracted, Danny lifts Kev's phone from his jacket pocket.
This is the moment where the book really distinguishes itself. In a movie, he'd snap a photo of the screen with his own smartphone.
Yeah, but this is set just before smartphones were everywhere.
Right. So Danny runs to the toilet with the stolen phone. He checks the last dialed number. He sees it, but he has no pen, no paper, and he is in a crowded club.
The stress here is incredible.
Wow.
He has to hold that sequence of digits in his working memory while knowing that if Kev checks his pocket, he's dead meat.
So he just repeats it over and over in his head. He gets into a cubicle and, well, he improvises. He has to remember it long enough to get back out.
He ends up borrowing a pencil from the barman after returning the phone, then runs back to the toilet to write it down on the wall. But the tension is in the retention. He has to keep that number fresh while acting cool.
It demonstrates working memory under stress. That is a trainable soldier skill. But Danny has it naturally. He returns the phone before Kev even notices it's gone.
Just raw tradecraft talent. So he has the number. He gives it to Elena. But they hit a wall. They can't get the address without the billing details or a PI.
And this brings us back to that torn photo. On the back, there was writing, Watts 865426 to pay.
Danny looks at that and realizes 8664 isn't a debt.
It's the last 4.
The last 4 digits of his Army number.
In the military, your service number is your identity. You recite it 1,000 times. The last 4 digits of that number usually become your default P9 for everything, your bank card, your locker. It is ingrained behavior.
And Danny just guesses that Fergus would use 8654 as his PI for the mobile account.
And he's right. It unlocks the account. Elena traces the signal. It's not in Colombia. It's not in London.
It is a remote road in Essex.
And the hunt is on. Danny goes to Essex. He finds a lay-by with a roadside burger van, a Union Jack flying above it.
Part 3. The reunion. And it's not exactly a warm family moment.
No, not at all. Danny approaches the van. There's a man flipping burgers. He looks tired, older, maybe a bit beaten down by life. He calls himself Frankie.
And Danny watches him and thinks, this is the traitor. This is the monster that ruined my life.
He confronts him. You're Fergus Watts! Frankie denies it. He plays the confused burger flipper perfectly. You got the wrong guy, son!
But Danny keeps pushing. He won't let it go. And then the mask drops.
This is a pivotal character beat. The moment the truth is out, Frankie ceases to exist. The posture changes, the eyes change, the slump disappears, the SAS operator just activates.
But he doesn't attack Danny. He looks past him.
He spots surveillance. Danny, in his amateur zeal, led a tale right to his grandfather. Fergus spots a car parked down the road that just shouldn't be there.
He grabs what he calls the Alabama lie detector.
Which is a heavy baton.
Right. He shuts down the van, grabs Danny, throws him into his car, and they run. He realizes instantly that his cover is blown.
This is the difference between Danny and Fergus. Danny thought the mission was find Granddad. Fergus knows the mission is now survive.
They drive to Fergus's hideout, a remote cottage. And this place, Fortress Frankie. We have to geek out on the home defense measures here for a second because they are brilliant.
It is a masterclass in low-tech, high-tech integration. Fergus knows he is a target, so he has motion detectors on the perimeter. But, and this is the key, he has placed them at shoulder height.
Why shoulder height?
To filter out false positives. If you put them low, every fox, badger, or stray dog sets them off. If the alarm goes off at shoulder height, he knows it is a human.
Clever.
He also has infrared sensors on the floodlights, but he has put filters on them so they don't emit visible white light. They just send a signal to his monitors inside. He can see the enemy, but the enemy doesn't know they've been spotted.
And the matchstick trick.
The classic. A matchstick wedged in the gate hinge. If it's on the ground, someone opened the gate. It's still there. The perimeter is secure. It costs nothing, requires no batteries, and it is 100% reliable.
But even with all this preparation, it is not enough. Because Danny wasn't just followed by some private investigator.
No. He was tracked by a top-tier surveillance team working for Fincham, the firm MI6.
The assault on the cottage is brutal. You have a team of 4. Mick, Fran, Jimmy, and Brian. They aren't knocking with a warrant.
No. They breach the door with shotguns. They have body armor, MP5 submachine guns. This is a kill team. They are there to sanitize the site.
And Fergus knows they can't fight this. They are outgunned. He lifts a rug in the kitchen, opens a trapdoor, and they drop into the cellar. But the cellar looks like a dead end.
Seemingly. But Fergus moves some boxes to reveal a coffin-sized cave. It's the entrance to a pre-dug escape tunnel. This is the level of paranoia Fergus lives with. He spent months digging a tunnel through the mud just in case this exact moment happened.
The description of them crawling through this tunnel is so claustrophobic. It's wet, it's muddy, it smells of earth. And when they emerge, they are in a ditch outside the perimeter.
And the tension just spikes here because Fincham, the man from the RCB, the man in the suit, is standing right above their exit point. He is looking around, inspecting the raid. Danny and Fergus are freezing in the mud, mere feet from him. If Fincham looks down, if he sees the camouflaged hatch, it is game over.
But he doesn't. They slip away into the woods, they steal a car, and once the adrenaline fades, they have to have the talk. Part 4. The truth about Colombia.
This is the narrative pivot. Up until now, Danny has assumed Fergus is a traitor who sold out for cash. Fergus finally explains the reality of the K designation.
What is a K?
A deniable operator. Fergus was SAS, yes, but he was recruited by the firm, MI6, to infiltrate the FARC drug lords. It was an off-the-books mission. The deal is simple. If you succeed, the government takes the credit. If you get caught...
the government denies you exist.
Exactly. You have no diplomatic immunity, no backup. You're on your own.
So the traitor label was actually his cover story.
Initially, his cover was that he was a mercenary, a rogue soldier looking for a payday. That allowed him to get close to the drug lords. But here's the twist. The FARC leaders were always one step ahead of the British operations. They knew when raids were coming.
Because there was a mole.
Exactly. And that mole was George Fincham. He was the desk officer in Bogota at the time. He was selling secrets to the drug lords for massive payouts.
So Fincham is the actual traitor?
Yes, he was the one taking the blood money. And when Fincham realized Fergus was getting close to exposing him, he burned Fergus. He tipped off the FARC that Fergus was a plant.
So Fergus's unit was massacred.
They were massacred. Fergus was captured and tortured for months, and Fincham used the traitor story to cover his own tracks back in London. He painted Fergus as the villain to hide his own treason.
That is sickeningly brilliant. Fincham frames the hero to hide his own villainy, and because Fergus was deniable, there was no official record to contradict him.
Precisely. And now, years later, Fincham is a high-ranking official in MI6. He has all the resources of the state at his disposal. He doesn't just want to arrest Fergus, he needs him dead.
And because Danny knows the truth now, Danny is a liability too.
He's a loose end.
So they are both targets. They're on the run. And this brings us to what I think is the most educational part of the book, Part 5. SAS Tradecraft School.
This is where Fergus basically gives Danny a crash course in how to disappear in modern Britain. It is Survival 101. The first lesson is the LUP.
The layup point.
They hide in a railway arch in London. It's damp, it's miserable, but Fergus teaches the rules. You never just walk in and sleep. You check for occupants. You check for exits. And the forensics, this is so detailed, they go shopping first.
Right. They buy cling film, baby wipes, and a water bladder. Sounds like his trained shopping list.
It's a forensic countermeasures kit, Fergus explains. You are only as sharp as your knife. But what he means is you are only as safe as the trace you leave behind.
Okay, break that down. Why the cling film?
To catch crumbs and skin cells. If you eat, you do it over cling film. You don't let a single crumb of bread hit the floor. DNA analysis is good. You don't give them anything. If you shed a hair, you pick it up.
And the baby wipes?
You wipe everything you touch. Doorknobs, walls, the floor itself. You remove fingerprints, sweat, fibers. You scrub your existence from the room.
And the water bladder?
For urine. You do not urinate in the corner. Dogs can smell it weeks later. DNA can be extracted from it. You pee in the bladder, and you carry it out with you. You leave the space exactly as sterile as you found it.
It strips the glamour away from spy life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not tuxedos and martinis. It's peeing in a bag in a damp railway arch and wiping down walls with baby wipes.
That is the McNab touch. The reality of being on the run is mostly discomfort, boredom, and hygiene management.
Then there are the anti-surveillance techniques on the street. Fergus teaches Danny about looping.
Right. You never walk in a straight line from A to B. You loop back. You cross the street and cross back. You look in shop windows, not to buy, but to use the reflection to see who is behind you.
And he says if you see the same person or car twice, it's a coincidence.
But 3 times, it's enemy action.
And the concept of third-party aware.
This is vital for blending in. If you look like a fugitive, looking over your shoulder, sweating, running a random civilian, a third party will notice you. They might call the police.
So you have to act natural?
You have to be third party aware. You walk with the flow of the crowd. You become gray. You become boring.
But they also have a plan for if things go wrong. The bump.
A bump is a compromise. If they are spotted, the protocol is a bomb burst. They don't stick together. They split up, run in opposite directions to divide the pursuit, and meet at the ERV, the emergency rendezvous.
Which they set as a Burger King.
It makes sense. It's public, it's busy, nobody looks at you twice, and they are everywhere. A perfect ERV.
Now, despite all this training, Danny makes a mistake. A very human mistake. He insists on going back to Foxcroft to explain things to the warden, Dave. This is Part 6.
It's a teenager's error. He thinks he can just pop in. But Fergus knows better. Fergus spots the surveillance immediately, a white transit van parked nearby.
How does he know it's surveillance?
It's too clean. White vans are usually dirty. It's positioned too perfectly for a line of sight on the door. And he spots the pinhole cameras in the side panels.
But the surveillance team, Mick and friend spot Danny. They move in to kill him. And this is where we see Fergus unleashed.
He is older, he has a bad leg, he is tired. But when he attacks, it is savage. It is a pure application of speed, aggression, surprise, the SAS mantra.
He doesn't pull a gun and have a shootout.
No. He waits until they are leaning into the boot of their car to get their weapons.
And then?
He jumps. He lands with his full body weight on the open hatchback door, slamming it down onto them. It crushes them into the frame. It breaks bones instantly.
His brutal physics.
He neutralizes 2 armed threats without firing a shot, using their own vehicle as a weapon.
It's such a stark contrast to Danny's experience later that same day.
Yeah.
Danny and Elena get mugged by a local gang.
This is an important parallel. Danny tries to use violence. He kicks one guy in the knee, feels the crunch. He thinks he is winning. But he is overwhelmed. He gets beaten up.
So why does the book include this failure?
To show the difference between playground fighting and tactical violence, Danny fought out of anger and ego. Fergus fought to neutralize a threat. Fergus later gives him a lecture. Combat should always be your last option.
Which sounds strange coming from an SI soldier.
Not really. Professionals know that violence is messy. It attracts attention. It carries risk of injury. You avoid it until you have absolutely no choice. When you do choose it, you end it in seconds. You don't fight, you eliminate.
Let's talk about the other side of the chessboard, the antagonists. We mentioned Fincham. The book says he collects pre-Raphaelite paintings.
That is such a specific character trait, isn't it? It suggests he sees himself as sophisticated, cultured. He probably justifies his treason as necessary for some greater good. Or perhaps he just feels entitled to it.
He's calm, detached.
He orders a teenager's death while sipping coffee. He is the banality of evil in a suit.
And then there is Marcy Devereaux. She is his number 2.
She is the efficient executioner. There's a scene where she breaks into a reporter's flat, Eddie Moyes, and it is a clinic in black bag operations.
Walk us through that.
She uses a Yale gun to pick the lock. It's a mechanical device that snaps the pins in the lock cylinder entry in seconds. She uses a device to download the hard drive without turning on the computer properly, bypassing passwords.
And on her way out.
She smooths the carpet fibers to hide her footprints. She is a ghost. It just shows the level of competence Danny and Fergus are up against.
Speaking of Eddie Moyes, he's a bit of a tragic figure, isn't he?
The washed-up reporter, yeah.
Yeah.
He used to be the main man breaking big stories. Now he is redundant, eating these massive fried breakfasts, just desperate for a scoop. He is tracking Fergus, too, hoping for an exclusive.
He's the wild card.
Yeah.
He keeps stumbling into the middle of the operation. He actually leads MI6 to the cottage inadvertently earlier in the book.
But he is tenacious. He represents the nose for news. He finds Colonel Meecher's location when Danny and Fergus are struggling. He is the friction in the machine.
And we can't forget Elena's subplot. While Danny is running for his life, she is dealing with her own drama. Her dad, Joey, returns from Nigeria.
And it is heartbreaking. He is charming, he is funny, but he is a con man. He isn't back for Elena. He is back because she just turned 16 and can access a trust fund left by her mother.
He wants to invest in a white goods scam.
It is awful. But it shows Elena's resilience. She balances hacking the deep web to help Danny while fending off her own father's greed. She is really the unsung hero of this operation.
Without her, Danny's just a kid running in circles.
Absolutely. Elena provides the direction, Fergus provides the protection, Danny provides the drive.
So, part 8. The plan. They can't hide forever. They need to clear Fergus's name.
The objective is Colonel Meecher. He was Fergus's old commanding officer. He's the only one who might verify that Fergus was a sanctioned operative, that the traitor story is false.
Elena finds out Meecher's in Norfolk, so they head north.
And the train journey to Cromer is this quiet moment. Fergus opens up a bit. He admits he checked on Danny over the years, from a distance. He isn't the monster Danny thought he was. He is a broken man trying to do one last right thing.
It humanizes him. He explains that soldiers don't want to fight, they want to survive, and they end up in a fishing shed on a beach.
It is cold, it is damp, and we have this cliffhanger set up. They are preparing to approach Meecher the next day.
But the clock is ticking. Eddie Moyes is also closing in on Meecher.
And you know Fincham's team isn't far behind.
The tension is just ratcheted up.
Yeah.
Can they get to Meecher and get the truth out before MI6 silences everyone? That is the question hanging over the end of this deep dive.
It creates a pressure cooker finale. You have the amateur, Danny, the veteran, Fergus, the wild card, Moyes, and the kill team, MI6, all converging on one point.
It is a breathless story. But let's step back and look at the title again. Boy Soldier.
It has a double meaning. Originally, it referred to Fergus. He joined the army at 16. In those days, they were officially called boy soldiers. It was an actual rank.
But now it refers to Danny.
Exactly. He is 17. He has been forced into a soldier's life of survival, evasion, and combat. He isn't in uniform. He hasn't sworn an oath, but he is fighting a war.
What is the key insight we should take away from this? Beyond the cool spy tricks.
I think it is about the fragility of normal life. We think we are safe, that the state protects us, that there are rules, but this story highlights how quickly that construct can disintegrate. When the machinery of the state turns against you, you are naked.
And in that situation, knowledge is power. Tradecraft isn't just for spies. It is a mindset of awareness.
You are only as sharp as your knife. But the knife isn't just a blade. It is your mind, your preparation, your ability to adapt. Danny survives not because he is strong, but because he learns to think like the enemy.
It raises a provocative thought to leave you with today. We trust our institutions, MI6, the government, the police, to be the good guys. But in this story, the traitor is the hero, and the polished bureaucrat in the suit is the monster. So if the people meant to protect the country are the villains, who do you trust?
And for Danny, the question is even more personal. He has learned to survive. He has learned to fight. But has he lost his innocence forever? Once you know how to break a man's bones with a hatchback door or hide in a tunnel from a hit squad, can you ever really go back to just being a teenager drinking Diet Coke?
I don't think you can. You can't unlearn survival. Boy, soldier indeed. That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, and keep your head down.
And check your date for matchsticks.
See you next time.